So, yesterday was interesting, wasn't it? I think in the afternoon in San Francisco, YouTube HQ got shot up. Now, as far as I'm aware, there was one death and 4 people injured. That death happened to be the shooter. Now, contrary to a lot of reports at the time, this is why you have to wait until things settle down and then the information is more reliable. It turned out that the shooter was not a man. It was not somebody well armed and armoured shooting casually. Nope, wasn't any of that. Wasn't a white woman in a scarf, although I'll get into that in a little more detail soon because that's a little bit complicated. It was one Nasim Aghdam, a Persian immigrant, and she was a vegan, animal rights, lifestyle YouTuber and was disgruntled over the recent adpocalypse and the demonetization policies that YouTube has enacted, which has caused a lot of problems and financial woes for many a YouTuber. She's not alone in the problems that she was facing, but in her mind, she was dealing with it the worst, I assume. I can only imagine that's what she must have felt. So she took it upon herself to basically get a gun and shoot up YouTube in an effort to change things, because in her opinion, YouTube and corporations that run the internet and perhaps even TV and governments are, quite rightly, she is right in saying this, are trying to discriminate against different voices, different opinions. They are filtering people, they are shadow banning us, they are attempting to stop people from making content by making it more difficult to do so. So what she means is that, well, most of you know by watching my channel, demonetization isn't just strictly demonetization. It is, in a way, an attempt to dissuade people from continuing to make content, specifically content geared towards controversial topics and opinions and things that happen, to the point where the only channels doing it are essentially CNN, Fox News, the Young Turks, all these other mainstream political news outlets, because apparently that's where new media needs to go. Just the old media in a different form. She's bang on the money about that. That's what they want to do. Now, admittedly, she did go into a little bit more red pill territory for a vegan and said that these corporations are also trying to destroy family values and to create sexual degeneracy. I think that's what she said, which is very interesting. That's quite a hot take. I mean, some of them maybe, you could argue, but regardless, those were her reasons for doing what she did. Thankfully, she wasn't that good a shot, and hopefully the person who's in the most critical condition is still alive and will be having a swift recovery, as will the others, hopefully. Now, I can only speculate as to why she decided that this was the course of action to take. She essentially decided that she was going to be a terrorist. That's not very good for national stereotypes. You know, Persians and Iranians haven't got the best reputation when it comes to that. Nowhere near as bad as the Arabs. No matter what people tried to say, this was a terrorist act. Even though she meant, you know, good by it. I mean, she had good reasons. But that's the thing. It was terrorism. This is a terrorist act. She tried to create change through the use of terror by attacking YouTube. I mean, to be fair, I'm surprised it was somebody like her that did it. A vegan animal rights activist who was also a bit loopy. I mean, if you've seen any of her videos, you can see that either there was a little bit of irony there because she also labels herself as a comedian, but then she also is quite clearly a bit mentally ill. I don't know exactly where on the DSM-5 she is, but she's definitely in there somewhere. Regardless, we have her reasons, sort of manifesto on her website and in her videos, but what made her decide to do this act rather than just create a petition or some kind of protest or a video series about it? You know, we don't know. She was obviously mentally ill, but I'm not a psychologist. I can't diagnose somebody based on videos and a news report. So really, we're going to have to wait until her family or people who knew her or her doctor decide to speak up. But if they don't, we'll never know. She could have been totally sane and decided that this was the most rational course of action. I mean, ISIS terrorists are sane, technically speaking. They're just brainwashed by an ideology. Maybe she just thought that was the only way she could get the change done. I don't know. That's of course very unlikely, but some people have said they're surprised that this didn't happen sooner rather than now. But I guess, to be honest, the demonetization policies needed to be a few years in effect in order for such drastic actions to be taken by certain individuals. And, you know, I guess the writing was on the wall that some people who were a bit nuts and a little bit unhinged would attempt something rather crazy against YouTube. I mean, it is America. It is present day America. Shootings happen often. So it stands to reason that yes, somebody could have done this for this reason, and now they have. But it's just interesting that it was her. It goes against everything that the SJWs were thinking it was going to be, because a lot of them were thinking, oh, it's going to be a misogynist, right-wing, white person who happens to be male, of course, because most of them are male. That is true. Most of the shooters are male. And they're going to be MAGA supporters and things like that. No, she was a registered Democrat. She was Jewish. This is what I've got from Syrian Partisan Girl, who, lovely girl as she is, highlighted the Jewish bit, because she hates them Jews. Yeah, but what do you expect? She's a Muslim. But then she also claims to be Caucasian, but then also claims to be African American, even though she lives nowhere near Africa. I mean, admittedly closer to Africa than America. And admittedly, she's also close to the Caucasus. So technically she is Caucasian, just not in the American way, because Caucasian means someone from the Caucasus region, you know, near the Caspian Sea and Russia and Turkey and Iran. So yeah, she technically is. Most Americans are not. You're Northwest Europeans or Southern Europeans. That's who it is. It just flies in the face of everything we've been expecting from shooters and shootings, which is why it's so unique, and probably why we're going to be talking about this for a very long time, because it's just so unique, and the reasons why she did it are so unique, because unlike the Vegas shooter, we know why she did it, and unlike, say, Elliot Rodger or the most recent case, Nicholas Cruz in Florida, her reasons are actually kind of, I don't want to say noble, I don't want to say they were good, but they were well-intentioned, almost. It's like you could sympathise with it, whereas you can't really sympathise with those other guys, and with the Vegas guy, well, there's nothing to sympathise with, or even to hate, or anything, you just don't know. She's truly a unique specimen, a truly fascinating individual, and not only is it a fascinating shooting and death and all that, but even her videos reflect that. She truly was quite interesting, and that's just putting it mildly. So what does this mean for YouTube? What does this mean for us? What does this mean for everybody? Well, it's very interesting that an event that YouTube has tried very, very hard to stop people who aren't corporations from talking about has happened to them. Now, will this change their mind and make them realise, actually, we need the community to talk about these things? Because if it happens to us, who's going to help us? Who's going to be there for us? The corporations will just use this to make money. But the people who use our platform properly have a vested interest in us being alive. So will they relax the laws that they've created about controversial content and the potential rating system they have? Or will they just double down? Well, let's take a look at this. Well, they might relax it because they've realised they've made a mistake and it's best to talk about these things, and the people who will help them and will defend them and will be there for them are us, the YouTubers. In fact, she only did it because she felt betrayed by them. Maybe they'll try and think, well, we don't want somebody to feel betrayed by us, we don't want somebody to go around shooting us, maybe we should, you know, open up a bit more, like they have been recently a little bit, but fully, and actually try and make things easier for us. Or they might think, well, this has happened to us, now we need to double down even more, attack gun channels. Vegans could potentially be attacked by this now, because you know what YouTube are like. If they find a scapegoat like the gun channels, are going to go after them. Vegan channels have to watch out now, because this woman, it doesn't look good for them already. They already have a bad reputation on YouTube, because with people like Vegan Gains and that crazy Aussie woman, was she American, who said that PewDiePie should be a vegan, and she doesn't mind if humans get killed if they eat meat. You know, they already have a bad reputation. They've already got this. You know, I think it is unfair, because most vegans aren't like this. It's just a very sizable minority, like 40-odd% of them, who seem to have no qualms about killing humans, but get triggered at the very thought of killing an animal, even though we're all animals, technically. The same thing that's happened to the gun channels could happen to them. And that's worrying, and they could double down on the censorship. They could double down on the adpocalypse, and we'll be back to square one, because terrorism won't get us anywhere. But I don't know. I don't know which way YouTube's going to go. I have no idea if they're going to open up and relax, or if they're going to close up shop and attack us even more. But regardless, this is a watershed moment in YouTube history, and it almost claimed the lives of some YouTube employees and the life of the perpetrator. But what about the media? How are they going to react to this? I mean, it has been a day. I've not really read anything yet, so I'm only going to make assertions, and I'm only going to hypothesize here. I know I could go and read it, but I don't have time. So I'm going to hypothesize this. So don't attack me for, asserting. I'm just hypothesizing. It's a thought experiment. Because it was a woman, because she was an ethnic minority, and because, well, she was a vegan, they're going to downplay it, or they're not going to talk about it as much as if it was like a Dylan Roof type, a white male. They will kind of brush it under the rug. They will probably try and find a way to blame some kind of man for this. They might demonise the YouTube platform. They'll probably try and attack gun channels. They will obviously use the gun control narrative if they do talk about this and say, this is why we need gun control. The right-wing media will probably bring up her as a person because the left wing does it whenever there's a male shooter. And then they will discuss why we need good guys with guns. So it'll be kind of a rinse and repeat, but I think the left will be a bit more subdued, whereas the right will be a bit more animated this time around. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. I'll go and read it and find out for myself later. So anyway, this is all I've got now. My thoughts go out to the victims, and to be fair, I feel sorry for her because she didn't deserve the demonetization. However, that's the only thing I feel sorry for her about. She didn't have to go out and kill people, but that's all that I feel sorry about, her demonetization. And even then, it's only fleeting. I realise that really I shouldn't be feeling sorry for a terrorist, because that's what she is. She didn't have to go out and shoot people, no matter how mentally ill she was. There are people who are severely mentally ill who don't go around doing that. And I think ultimately this could make things worse for us rather than better. The last thing we need to do is to make this woman a martyr. I think, honestly, the memes and the mockery of her should continue, because nobody should be shooting other people due to the apocalypse. That is some of those pathetic things I've ever heard of. I can't believe that of all things to shoot people over, this is what she decided to shoot people over rather than factory farming. At least then I could get it. There's a connection, but whatever, it's been your boy. Until next time, I'll see you later.